I personally don't care whoever wins.
I'll proceed once more to adjourn the meeting indefinitely.
Speaker, what do you work? Yeah, the caucus.
Speaker is my friend before I even came to parliament. He was my company lawyer.
Will not allow them.
Abushia mamu akwaba ebiem emra dwumadie so after say Speaker of Parliament Aban Bobin esan fresh team biem na NPP woman timan kwanko piem ewo parliament ni nyina ne se abufu aba ema NDC eteki majority side no ensem bebre ene freche ba yatrasi ene wonsem nyina ebremo na ene ye videos bi o ha ye beko na afi no yakwa akohwe baransa na no yenkona afi commander emfa nwran sem information bia ewache bia no commander edi eba na no kwasam se onomu Canada komprekon Agyapong ensem na chi no anonso de nsem bebre ena tudwa ne nyina wa ha yebekona afeni akwa commander boko de
yeah the right aboko
ense wenu ebinsi da
yeah the right
yes ebinsi da na akabe less than ebeka na 3 weeks
yeah
na yakwa koto ba
correct
ena ensem bebre esi amanfo keka se NPP amanekuo no wo mu gu wo mu ho anim ase amanfo nso se dabi NDC form pese adwuma bekoso ewo omanyimu eno nti ena wo mu eyesa quick one yeni kanwuram na fe no yenkwe
wow the right am na wasi naja min chair viewers no sede waja baton nim dia mame no the right no correct a lot of issues ena esi wo parliament any outside parliament na nsem de emu edru na nsem ediatire no the right a eche kwei na nkomodie bebre wom both MPP and DC obia e kan nsem but ye sha asem free speaker of parliament na so ye wi a ye be ko MPP and DC so na nsem bia asha ase pie ba no ye de ni nyina atoa so the right on the part of speaker of parliament Abamba bin edin nsem tudwa e wo parliament wa bra of first sitting emergency meeting na omo kopie mo parliament MPP omo MPs no amma na according to Abamba bin o si onya akra tied free MPP for ho say ohia sitting ye emergency na yenye government business right Abamba bin say obetena asiwie ye no hu say NDC for na ba but MPP for no amma na eba sa no kra nya menim nie na aye no ye pa esan say emergency meeting na according to Abamba bin right o say emergency meeting omukoyi nanka a government businesses mako 5 any 17 aban ya ye MPP aban no omo MPs no ede beka ho ena nanko mo ba di hudwuma ni nyina be 22 government businesses ena nanko mo ba ye but MPP for na maninti no na wo ntumi nye na according to Abamba Ben o se omo numbers ye on betim dey meeting but dem meeting in maso ne se na wo se MPs ni bi ekọ business committee meeting na omukọ meeting na sa businesses we no omukọ de hu nkoma awie ansa na MPs ni nyina betena so MPs no ansa nkọ meeting no nti meeting na ntodwa ama business committee ni anwie omadwuma no na omotena asem no so a enye I said that MPP for na asamba nti more than half of parliament omuhia no omanya
o se MPP for no oso omukọ
right Abamba bin say we hu because o man show up our parliament house so chambers on o man
jino mu abontin
o mu abontin
yes
just school ni a o se wa ko school and ko class teacher ni anhu no the right sana na nkomo na kwakwe but Abamba bin video no ha ye nkonko hwe no ye ba nkomo a ede e wa jire ntokwasi
quick one yenko na hwe na ye ntie ketua bi ye ba ensamo sisi achie pa
honorable members. I extend a warm and hearty welcome to each and every one of you as we commence this extraordinary meeting of the 4th session of the 8th Parliament of the 4th Republic. This meeting is a response to a request for a recall, first dated 22nd of October 2024, and the subsequent one dated 24th of October 2024, both pursuant to Article 1123 of the Constitution and Order 53 of the Standing Orders of Parliament. Both requests were signed by more than the constitutionally required signatories of 15% of all members of Parliament. The first request entreats the House to deliberate upon and transact urgent government business. And the businesses were tabulated. And from what we had, there were not many, just a few. The second request, dated 24th, simply added minimal items for the consideration of the House. So from the initial request for us to consider 5 items, this second request added 17 more items. And this request came from the NPP members of Parliament, and it was signed on their behalf by the second Deputy Majority Whip, Honorable Alex Tete Joe Dubois. In fact, both requests were signed by him. Honorable members, I had, under the dictates of the provisions of the Constitution, to issue the summons for you to be here today. And I duly complied with the constitutional provision and got the administration to get the summons published to the notice of all of you. Unfortunately, the signatories who made the request have not shown up, and therefore matters that they wanted us to handle, which are admitted for the consideration of the Business Committee, are not on the order paper, and in fact there's no order paper for today because the Business Committee could not meet due to the absence of the people who requested for the recall. And as you can see, one side of the House is completely empty. In view of this, we have, as usual, got a quorum to sit, but we have no business before us to transact, because the Business Committee, as you know, they prepare a report, and this report is adopted by the House as business agreed by the House to transact during the course of the week. In the absence of that, there is no other authority that can put business before you which you have not adopted to transact. In view of the failure of the Business Committee to sit, as a result of the refusal of those who requested for the recall to show up, we are compelled to once again adjourn the sitting of the House. Knowing the challenges we are facing, it is not advisable to be adjourning from day to day. And so I'll proceed once more to adjourn the meeting indefinitely. And the meeting, this extraordinary meeting, is accordingly adjourned.
Okay, Commander.
Yeah, Director.
And sir, baby, I didn't do no, I know I did.
Yeah, Director. I'm not the Ghana for Diaco.
Muhammad de Ghana for
the MPCB, especially MPs, because omo come here na say government business. What's a year? Yen transact government businesses.
Okay.
Into what from emergency meeting in a year. The writer also will show up at the chambers.
Okay.
The writer mean case a yes said there be a minority majority. Na ye corner ye fa. There be a yes ye Juma.
So be almost one is and this is for the kind kotna majority dabre. Na omo ba no muni dabre bia ho.
The writer and this for na majority e no correct.
Okay.
But assembly na say it's up to you say also be kwa wem. Was the speaker and can't no sorry. O abonten o ya no wasoma obi na wakoteta akohwe. Mo abonten na mo hwe parliament house e wo TV so. Na ma ka say mo hwe ye mo hu say and this for the majority. But then na mo nkoro inside ho. Was abamba bin onhum wo ho. But at one point ne say sadio ye act bia enye papa.
Okay.
Because what for sitting. Enampa speaker di wo say ye wo yo. Ena mo nyina mako. Edana speaker eka say wayi sa MPs no yo ma free parliament no. The right ye nyina ye betra ha be kan say after that no na the next sit na mo be ko no ena wo de be to krata so ma afa die aye adwuma it na enya adwuma.
Okay.
The right next sit bi ankoso biem etima ye successful and you expect to say abamba bin emra fie wakọ sit no na we pia we hwehwe mo abantino abeka kirem say mesra mo ade na me kan no ma nya mfa nya adwuma. The right I do be sometimes any political affiliations in change. Na yen hwe mpanifo bi enim ne nka no kwenche om say afenyo markings any MPP current leadership no omo ha omo party no the right for the first time ya hu MPP sa omo fresh sitting ye wo say yekọ na omo hu omo stand say bia makọ na ye je majority na free munsam ana ye nyim free munsam muzimu show up mpo mu nkọ
but afenyo markings say I mu media for mu na mu meka no kwede NDC for
the right say
unlawful.
The writer say abambapin. According to nkoma ayediye, any afenyo markets rankas ye bedru no because nkoma ho.
Okay.
The writer clerks no more parliament no. Omo da so edmo parliament no. Still ano omo di MPP for MPs ni din. That's not quotary majority ho. Accepted and by mistake. And this for dey be omo so de omo quotary majority now. Adena clerks ne di mudi akobo and this wa quotary mo nko parliament ho. Na mo musa speaker say speaker ye ba ye no. Clerks need ye dia tarha but then this for na kotena ho but what decided say un show up it won't show up no speaker want me ma ofie mefrew dabi want me ma bonte mefrew dabi right aside you e kai me the famous act bia amanfo taika pa say 92 say 92 ya anto aba na mom ya to president ya say ya to presidential ya wi ani ato parliamentary ya to presidential no results no am favor MPP but after that MPP mpanifo ni bi nya omu nyina ebi ampene ebi so the by force you say chinchina parliamentary no MPP should boycott parliament. The writer sa act we enu bi na afenyo market say ne wodi be but robesha amwa the success for act ananka ye hia e wa aban mu.
Okay mimi hu ni say afenyo market ne nkrofo no sisi ana nimguase na nya bawie enti eni say omo accept defeat sa omo hu ni say wo say omo de katashe fam na e hu ni say omo ye bi you get it they also be see that I want
no credit because when your opportunity I am majority one our ban side or party wa ban mu one term on 4 years na nwie and ye majority na free winsam the right amount for e kaye nyina ye can be say MPP current administration omo go nkwanum ase omo say party omo nyama nye but no omo ntie
ene basa no a OG fo no ohini ntomu ni alan kojo chematin mo no se akwa se ya free munya ne yenhwe
ye kaya mo se da bi ye ka mo se da bi no ye jai ma mo no eno na akwa
yes enti akwa ba se
nimguase aka
omu jai ma mo no omu tachi ehwe enti akwa se mo be ya me ahwe ana so timi ade
enti se no patapa ne kwan bi abefa so a obe defend wani mu ase no obefa so defend but the writer edruba bi a patapa pietro ye de mra na wo because I wonder say MPC here the right idea we na ya medwene hu no afenyo markings ni MPC a ene omani abre pa no in 2020 na omo parliament and omo yi honorable Andrew Sesiama ye ne ya say yi na free parliament no na omo nyina ho bi ne yi ni free ho they didn't complain dabi inti se ne omo ni say that time no antwa ya ade na mo ye mranimfo na mo gitum e ma ye de mrasi nchen e ye bone
eno ne be kan say oni pani wo fie adue se we say na kwasa busuan pani a oni ska na mo nkwada no mo nyeska mo ba ya mo abusuapani no afi o che na adwan mo se abusuapani ni kwa no obefra busuan ma wo mfrim eno akotena nchen
edrum pani metia
what you say dabi me che se wakotena nchen etu otenchen no ana busuan no asemaba na mo nkwada na mo si mu woska no mo yade no to ka ma busuan na face problem
sika ne de ekuta mo
you get
that oye na aba
etu ho na mo be ka se ye se na busuan pani
because the brother to me hu ne sa asem we se wo study even honorable say chemensa bonso ba fofo ne nkomodie ma na ono na sem a wo kanyina peso kire se issue no e sha se ba no se na nke betumi a na ni se eye dede na wo se omo MPs no omo meeting NDC MPs no so leadership no no mo share speaker no mo nyina kwatena se kokwam na omo solve problem no nke to try
dika honorable chemensa bonso na majority leader nka we nyina nkensi
director ade anyansa be ye no sika ntimi nye eto da bia sika ni kitawaje so de nyansa ka sika no ho
okay
Rota, ye ni nkoma foforo na em se eja wetire pa
oh yeah
Rota nsam ni si ye chi de no kwene nyame nie anya MPP ne ndisi na de
ye minim se om nkoma o habat
yes
ense ye ni kanwura NDC fo na nsa ne aba MPP so
ye nwura ndisi mra na MPP fo nsam no ano ache
okay
the right on the part of NDC om ko sitting ya amma so wie ye ni eno mo friends ntwefo nchiemu na eho ena honorable castle atoforce
okay
edi nsam tu bi atoforce ye chemu se ade ansi ne no eye ni ngwase ni se MPP ye mo kwan mo lead o man ni biem na atoforce kire mu se eye ni nwanwa se o mafra meeting na aban aboka MPs abufuo ni nyina ya aban kem na ye kokotena sitting na mo amofra meeting no mo nsi ho na o kire mu se na wo se meeting kwaso before parliament ebetena se ye business meeting okoye MP for na ma ofre wo mo omo amfi no the right atoforce video no ha ye hwemra na ye medi MPP nkomo ne ho mo de pa are atoforce
ye nkomra ye ba e be san to aso.
This morning at about 7 o'clock we showed up at the business committee meeting on the 6th floor only to notice that the MPP members of the committee once again failed to show up at the business committee. I personally called the committee clerk and I was informed that she is out of the jurisdiction and no one has reached out to him to her to program the business of the day. I was worried and reached out also to the MPP side and to have an indication as to what their plan is. No one responded. I am deeply worried and deeply concerned that the very people that requested for Parliament to be recalled failed to show up. Clearly, what we are seeing here is an abuse of the Constitution and the standing orders of Ghana's Parliament. The NPP minority caucus have indeed caused financial loss to the state and to us, the NDC members of Parliament, and to the people of Ghana. We say this because these recalls cost Ghana money. This is not the first time that they have done this. They've done this a couple of times, but we see nothing than disrespect. We call on the people of Ghana to see the behavior of the NPP and punish them accordingly. They have certainly, everything shows that the NPP are tired, they are fed up, and they are not ready to work for the people. They are ready for the people. They are bereft of ideas and they are short of vision. They cannot solve the suffering of the people. All what they do out there during campaigns, in spite of the hardship, is to sing and dance Osisifia. That's all what they do. In times like this, when the ordinary Ghanaian is struggling to survive, they are dancing and singing Osisifia and sharing money. We want Ghanaians to see them as such and vote against them and sack them. Because clearly, you can see, we have over 100 NDC MPs here today out of the 137, and we are determined to do what is right. But colleagues, let me make this point to the people of Ghana. Let no one deceive you that the NDC is here to obstruct the people's business. No. We are rather here to work for the people of Ghana. We see this as a call to duty. We turn up in our numbers to do what we have to do, only to find out that the very group of people that called us to consider government business, they have no business. So the truth out there is that there is no urgent government business. there's no urgent government business and the government has no business. They have given up, they've checked out, and they want the election to be done as soon as possible so that they can leave office. Fellow Ghanaians, let's vote against this incompetent government and have our country back. Thank you.
Up to forcing.
Said here, Odini
Among four friends, the current majority leader.
And Kofoka. And minority leader. But a whole lot of issues never better. Parliamentary assembly.
Yeah.
You didn't get whom come over Brina, Macase. A benya influence our general election. So,
oh, yeah.
In the parties in Yawasha. Obia and didn't tackle this issue.
Okay.
Until Obia and grow. But away from that,
answer not the end of the answer. You educate you come over. I feel no markings. I didn't know.
About that, after some way, you know, and I feel no markings. Any NPP MPs na babon thing.
Yeah.
I didn't say about to that.
Okay.
Now, on my children, Muslim, with what I have video name. Afanya Markins actually must say Speaker of Parliament any NDC. Epese akon ebane na makon kwan so.
Okay.
Rata ye kwhwemra ye ba nkomo bebre wachire. Ye ba be dis ankomo no.
Ti quick one. Me ba to enya mutre na ye hwe video no ensi ye ba. Commander de munchemu nyina ebeba na afi no. Ibia aye kama sansa ye koban so a. Honorable Kennedy akompreko Agyapong. Onu nso nkomo bi wa ha tie nkomra.
I, on behalf of my colleagues, the majority, inquired from Mr. Speaker whether our friends who were seated to his right would be allowed by him to sit there, because that was not their rightful place in view of his own admission that he had not proclaimed them as such nor declared them as such. Speaker responded that indeed sitting arrangement of Parliament was a responsibility of the clerk to Parliament. This took me to the next step of inquiring from the clerk whether he allowed the NDC minority to sit on our seats. He said, indeed, we had our name tags, that is the NPP majority, had their name tags at those seats that we already occupied, and that it was not he who did that. So obviously, one was expecting Mr. Speaker to direct the NDC to do the right thing. He refused. Subsequently, Mr. Speaker engaged the Council of State, or perhaps let me say the Council of State held meetings with Mr. Speaker as a majority leader and leader of government business and leader of the House. I had the opportunity to also meet with them. The understanding I had from the meeting as a sequel to the meeting they had already held with Mr. Speaker was to the effect that Mr. Speaker will direct the NDC minority to sit at their right place, which is the left of Mr. Speaker. That was the understanding I had. I subsequently had a call from the Peace Council. The Peace Council informed me that they had engaged Mr. Speaker on the issue before Parliament, and Mr. Speaker had indeed indicated to the Peace Council that he had not ruled, neither has he proclaimed the NDC minority, and that should we resume or should Parliament reconvene, the NDC minority will go back to their seats. Several other prominent Ghanaians, who for some good reasons I would not want to mention their names, who had engaged Speaker on this matter, had also reached out to us, the majority caucus, and assured us that Mr. Speaker's engagement with them resulted in he admitting that indeed there was no such ruling, which ruling would now proclaim the NDC as a so-called new majority. Now, from the horse's own mouth, granted that all these prominent people misrepresented to us, the majority, yesterday, Mr. Speaker himself, in his press conference in the afternoon, enumerated a number of things. Amongst them, he said he had not made a ruling. He told the whole of the country that he had not made a ruling. So, if he claims that what he did was a formal communication in response to a statement from the minority leader, then why is he supervising chaos in the House? What Mr. Speaker did today amount to supervising chaos and bringing the image of democracy to disrepute. The NDC minority members were all over claiming that we, the majority, did not attend a so-called business committee meeting that they called. Who are they? When did we constitute a new committee in Parliament? I chaired the business committee of Parliament. And when the clerk to Parliament asked for the business committee meeting, I was very explicit that the subject matter of the recall, which was approved by Mr. Speaker, is a very matter for consideration. So there's no need to have another business committee. Business committee is to decide on the business of the House. On this occasion, you have made an application, which application has been granted. And the items that were approved were the very things to be decided on. So I directed that the order paper should be printed to reflect all those items. Fortunately, Mr. Speaker himself read the two letters, the first one and the second one that amended the first, and indicated to the whole country that indeed our deputy majority whip, the second deputy majority whip, had actually sent those letters to him. He acknowledged him as such. Clearly, the NDC is on a warpath. They want confusion in this country. They want lawlessness in this country. And all these are being supervised by Mr. Speaker. Yes. It is sad. It is very sad. And I would want to entreat you, the media, to call them out, to call the NDC out, to call Mr. Speaker out. Because what is it? What at all is the issue? You have made a ruling which you now say is an opinion. We disagreed with you. We've gone to another forum where, by law, that forum has the power to interpret the law. We respected Mr. Speaker's ruling. In all of these, my first interview after his ruling was to the fact that I respect him, I disagree with him, therefore my colleagues and I were withdrawing from the chamber and will pursue the matter at the Supreme Court, which matter he was already aware was pending at the Supreme Court. And I will repeat the point I made a week ago. Mr. Speaker had assured me in the presence of the second deputy speaker, Honorable Amwakwesiama, in his office, that in view of the pendency of the suit, although the NDC had filed that petition, which petition was mounted by Harun Idrisu, he would hear them, but will wait and abide the decision of the court. I was fair enough, I was transparent enough to have engaged him as a head of this assembly, that because Haruna had raised the issue and to avoid confusion, I was going to the Supreme Court to seek interpretation. I did not go to Supreme Court in bad faith. And it wasn't the case that a matter was happening in Parliament and I ran away to the Supreme Court. I ran away from Parliament to Supreme Court to seek refuge. No, I foresaw confusion. And indeed, what Harun Idrisu filed, why did they set it aside? Harun Idrisu had initiated a process under Order 99 of our rules, which will require a process to be set in motion. Why did they suddenly come under Order 93, which allowed for a statement? When, in the history of this Parliament, since 1992, did a statement metamorphose into a motion? Which motion now will require a ruling? You see, Speaker is setting the country on fire. Yesterday, we were disappointed with his non-reconciliatory posture during this press conference. Indeed, we, the majority caucus, call on Mr. Speaker one more time to demonstrate statesmanship. We want Mr. Speaker to know that although we were not happy on the day he was elected, some of our colleagues perhaps has seen something good in him. It wasn't the NDC that put him there for him to do the bidding of the NDC. Perhaps people felt that he could be someone who will bring all of us together. Yes. There are things that we cannot say into the camera. But Mr. Speaker is hurting democracy. Yes. What Mr. Speaker is doing is to rehearse what the NDC is likely to do should they lose power, to bring chaos, to cause confusion. How can Mr. Speaker say that he respects the Constitution, but he will not subject himself to the dictate of the judiciary? How can you say that the judiciary is in collusion, is colliding with the president, and you mention the president as a person, as an individual? How? What Mr. Speaker is doing is in bad faith. First of all, he subjected himself to the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. And after losing at the Supreme Court, he turns around to attack the Supreme Court. His own lawyer, my respected senior Thaddeus Sori, in court, argued forcefully that Mr. Speaker made a ruling, and he sought to justify the so-called ruling and even challenge the jurisdiction of the court in entertaining my application. For him, the matter comes under Article 99 of the Constitution and not under Article 197, 97 G and H of the Constitution. To the NDC lawyer, to the Speaker's lawyer, who had received firm instructions from the Speaker, the position of the Speaker was home and dry, was on all fours right, and that Mr. Speaker had ruled, and that those members could not come to Parliament. Again, he had emphasized that the right forum was the High Court. All these points canvassed by Mr. Speaker's lawyer were overruled. The matter was heard in the full glare of the public. There was a live broadcast of the Supreme Court proceedings of that day. The ruling of the Supreme Court has been procured by me as plaintiff. The Supreme Court bailiff has served the ruling, the second ruling, on Mr. Speaker. His lawyers were given up to 3rd of November to file their written submissions, statements of case in defense, if any. So what are all these, perhaps I call it ex cathedra statement of Speaker, creating an impression as though those statements he's making are an authority on their own. It cannot be. A true Democrat will respect the rule of law.
Yes.
And that is why we decided to respect him. You know, ladies and gentlemen of the press, NPP, our tradition is to respect rule of law. Yes. It's out of deference to Mr. Speaker. That is why we did not enter the chamber. That we should share in that chaos theater with them. Never.
We won't do that.
We will not. NPP will not. We will not. Therefore, don't be swayed by their lies and their propaganda. The chaos they started is what they want to end. We will not allow that. We believe that we have to win the elections right at the polling station, and would go and work. Right now, what the NDC has done, basically, are the following. One, they don't want Ghanaians to receive their pay, public servants, because they know that after the elections, there will be no budget. And to be able to pay Ghanaian workers, there will be the need for parliamentary approval of the budget first quarter. That would be on account, appropriation on account. That's it's a constitutional requirement. So that is what they want. They want to stampede it. Two, they want to again create a certain impression that Ghana is lawless. Ghana is not lawless. We will not allow them to give a wrong impression to the international community. We will respect the law. Three, all these businessmen, you know, their fear is that under the 1D, 1F, these companies are going to create jobs. These companies will employ people. So their fear is that should these be addressed, it will mean that all their propaganda of unemployment would fall flat. So further to frustrate businessmen and drive them away. Are these Democrats?
No.
Now there are important things to do. We have the free SHS bill, which is before Parliament. Their main aim is to conspire with Mr. Speaker to prevent the free SHS bill from being passed. And in an unlikely situation where they see the light of day in the election, cancel it. That, oh, after all, there's no law backing it. Their main target is the free SHS bill. That is why there was a pre-announcement of its laying in Parliament, and you remember how they fought against it. So it's an opportunity for them to, as it were, prevent the free SHS bill from being passed. And if they succeed in doing that, to them, in their wishful minds, in their wishful thinking, parents will get upset and then say that after all, the free SHS was not working. The free SHS has benefited many Ghanaians in spite of the challenges. We know as a country the reforms that have been made by two ministers, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh and Dr. Yao Educhum. These two gentlemen who were assigned to superintend over the education ministry have done so well. And the outcome of their works is known to all Ghanaians. This is what the NDC want to set back. Thank you very much indeed. I would want... Okay. Now, they also made some noise in the chamber. They also made, they double talk. They double talk. They do double speaking, double talking. Whenever a person lies, he fails to even be inconsistent. In the chamber, where they rushed to go and sit. And again, the clerk this morning, we pre-inspected the chamber. The clerk diligently arranged our name tags at where they were. They came and they physically removed them. And that is where, with the greatest respect and in all humility and no modesty, my dear friends in the media, help us to shape opinion in the right way.
Get the message across properly.
Get the message across. They came in there and unlawfully removed our name tags, pulled their chairs to our place and sat on our seats. And Speaker, the cameras, I was watching in my office, and I'm sure you guys are set up. You set your cameras up proud to Mr. Speaker's arrival. You saw what happened. Let the Ghanaian people know. Now they said our members were not present. They claim that those, if indeed the Supreme Court had ruled, why were those members who were affected not in the chamber? Because Mr. Speaker has said nothing about them. This is what Kwame Agbodja, making that point. Honorable Kwame Agbodja said the members have had a favorable ruling from the Supreme Court, so they should have come. Really, if the Supreme Court ruling is being respected by them, why did they move to the right of Mr. Speaker? My respected colleague Cynthia Morrison is here. I said it in my plaint in court that she remains a member of our caucus, and she's here with us as a majority caucus. Nothing short of that. So I would want you to take note. Now, we look forward to engaging Mr. Speaker in the next few hours and days. We pray that he does the needful. If he doesn't do the needful, we will continue to rely on the law to get the right things done. The partisan politics that they are festing on us in the chamber must cease, must end. Parliament is a chamber for decent people. Parliament is a chamber for tolerant Democrats. Parliament is a chamber for people who want nation building without taking advantage of situations to score cheap political points. We will yield to these high values and high tenets of democracy. Thank you very much.
No questions. Okay. No. Okay, we'll allow some few questions. Okay.
Majority leader.
Yes.
Majority leader, two things. First,
Who is going to do the tree for us?
there are those who have said that by the conduct of Mr. Speaker, he has gone against the ruling of the Supreme Court, and by his refusal of failure to actually ask the NDC MPs to go back to their minority side, he might be in contempt. Is that the view you share?
Yes.
And then lastly, there are those who said that if he's in contempt, that would mean that he has breached his oath of office, and you may even initiate process to impeach him.
Well, let's engage him.
He's right on both.
Let's engage him. Get him to appreciate. Let's get him to appreciate the consequences of not obeying the Supreme Court's decision, and let us also pray that civil society and Ghanaians in general will prevail upon the NDC lawless minority to know that decency is the rule of the game. Thank you very much. She is a member of parliament. Listen. Wait. Yeah, wait. You see, wait. I will not in any way attack any media house. But I believe that the discourse is a two-way traffic. For instance, I won't mention that station's name, but a station invited me. And when I went for a program, after we had agreed on the issues, they now said to me that a big man from that station says that they should address me as leader of NPP caucus. And I asked that a speaker of parliament has made a pronouncement. Granted, at the first instance, he was right. A superior court has overruled him. So the status quo has been restored. Further, the speaker has challenged the first decision of the court. All right? And that has been adjudicated upon. And it has been determined. So 2 rulings have come out after his ruling, which he calls an opinion. Is there an issue of who is in majority and minority? You, the media, I want to ask you. So I would plead with you, no matter how you feel, let us all help with the law. We all know in the US, in the US, I'm referring the media to something that happened in the US. We all know that CNN leans towards the Democrats. If you watch CNN carefully, you will know that CNN leans towards the Democrats and Fox leans towards the Republicans. But as soon as Trump was elected, CNN put all their biases aside and went straight. In fact, they were among the first news, let me finish, to have projected Trump's victory in spite of all their disagreement with Trump's views or political views. You get my point? And I would want to urge on you, the media, to do the same. You may not be in support of NPP. I agree. Yenina ya dream to me here back. Yenina media yen to me can say media be antro dia eye NPP for there. But se court kasa. Me be situation na media be trust say eye Afenyo Marking leader of NPP group. Afenyo Marking ni NPP for eye majority. And that is the law. Mumbua speaker of Fuma Monka. Yes, we are Fuma Monka. Na Ghana baku pena ewo. Their NDC for ni ya no person Ghana ejetom.
No one country is wa from on the side Subai.
Their speaker di kan ye no. Speaker, their speaker di kan ye no. Ye yan kunto kwa o. Oka di oka ye no. Ye ndidi na tem. Ye ka chen say speaker. Wo de waka. Ye di court. Na court ebia asem no. Court edi kan ebia asem no. Speaker si on ti ase of a lawyer. Emma lawyer no call court. Eko kasama onu speaker said there be the Supreme Court ka no wafo Supreme Court afom. Supreme Court ebu di asem no. Ghana nyina hwe TV. Ena Supreme Court aka said there be speaker. Enye wo tumi na obetumi aka say obi seat we declare ni vacant. Eyenyen nti asem no eda yenim. Asem no so beda ha na wo ya aware. Nti eba ne say ena say wo be kasasa. Speaker lawyer na nkasa ka say speaker ye ruling. Okoso justify speaker asem o kan. E ma ne ka say Supreme Court ko na ye wo no. Enye wo ne the right forum je say ye kwa high court. Sansema ne lawyer kan ni na court e den ebogu ye. Nti dia na ye expect an opay ni say speaker ene NDC for no beka saka chom say there be baby amote na ye ho na mote. E ho no ye edom kase NPP for
yeah for your mark omo anu
sir for your marking ye omo majority leader omo ekonwa but speaker wan yes sir obetra ho no oye se we hu baby ankrofo ne te ba ni nyina ne se oni omo nyina no omo ye baako omo nyina NDC ansa na NDC for be bibi no no ankasa oni no omo ni na adwen ho nti omo nim de omo ye wo be hwe endra press conference a oye ye no press conference or yeah no one kasa say ope enkabom ana akroye or attack o mampeni or attack judiciary Supreme Court ekeka nsem bebre a yen esan say ye bu no bi nti no yan be respond say ye de oka ye tie but yen NPP for embra na ye di suniti yan be kase ntia no na ye expect say nde or the court assembly ye djuma and then put there obi ano ono ne lawyer akọ court no wan ka court wasem kra wan ka se wa court ama we din kuguo ani nti no and then you anum nyina wa ha dia ye be se ye ka ne se ye be di mbra so ye ntumrika eni ne omo nkoko ntokwa NDC for there omo bibia ye ntokwa omo bibia ye ntokwa omo bibia ni ntokwa so omo di enyoma be sai wo Ghana na Ghana aya basabasa ye de ye dwen oma no ye ma bibi sense ye da mo ase.
Okay, commander.
Yeah, Roger.
Sir, baby adena duni die.
Roger, yeah.
Ya jini pansa.
Yeah, edru ani bre.
Me afanyoma kings. Me hu ni se baby adena duru se o chimpa no accept minority na asa enimguase be kan. You get it?
Yeah, but then
empty no so antwesa.
Because we ni ba ho na nkasa ni seat na ehon nyo sa. Of course, afanyoma king seat na ehon nyo sa. In a central region, last election, NDC the Ahmadi NPP seat be brave from them.
And this year, so NDC for no many abroad central.
Enti
so no me you are running mate free.
Mo enti say sa Kobasia. Now Kobase, a woman NPP leadership na a week, but afanyoma king as individual was say bibia. Oh, enti ansha ni party betme fa by mo anyere ne ho a. Na wono ankasa ni seat ebe say me free nsa. Enti nani abrepa. But the right all can send back come yenu bia. Ye jato wa enye ye osedi hu nkomo.
Okay.
But afanyoma kings ekasa no oka asem bi ose NDC pese omum kire se oman eye lawless country emra nya adwuma. The right no de eye just kitwa bi. Right oman na ye wom no emra wom. But se wo hwa etoda mpanifo ka asem se delayed justice. Eye justice denial. Se asemba na wo se no kra no be ade to no. Wan fa nto na otwentwa asem ne so cha na se wo de no kra ne atentri ne no so o si ho kwan. But ade ba ko ma hu ni se obi ahia justice. But say asema atofo se ne ana se afanyoma kin se kai. Na ndisi fo no so e on the other side say omo pass a bill. Ye wo se mampani san e na court injunction beto so omo so twa besi ne omo ntehwe. Ti wa hwa other side obi a he de be favor no. Am favor obi a o se mra nya adwuma. Right atofo se and I say afanyoma kins all canism no but or the one business aspect to be ben very important but to say this 4% omofo kwan bia so na one district one factory ye percentka ye business for parliament na one district one factory no munya kwan fa adwumayefo but then this for hu ni say so omofo adwumayefo a ebeba say unemployment no MPP attack sa issue no omunya campaign message but the right sa issue no ma yen clear nyama ba ku miye no
ketua bi na yebo
one district one factory assembly e dey be kase ye pese anase abane de akoto parliament say companies be over 40 omo taxes ya eda wo mo so ya also mu twa mo man no omo de ka omo ntwa ye but abane no esre on their behalf say anka yenyi sa taxes ni from them for siga ne nche wo mo na omo nya hode ntimi nya adwuma ya ebie under one district one factory eno na NDC for no bi so hunu say da bi na di nkia ko amendis for no oppose ye reject ye and right ahana na mi bisa say e say companies omo ye adwuma nya sika ena sika na wunya ne yesi tua hoto ena wunya ntua ena se yemfa eto no wo sere say yemfa nchew but I'm sure say afanyoma kins claim say ebasa but rota eno ye more of political any adwuma sam
yanko for education no
rota o say for education no omo ye ho bill and that is true parliament ye bill say yanyi ntum na mampani nsan say aban bia ba for education obeto asanya dia obeya free ho rota o trem say NDC form pese ye be yes amra na wie na ye yes amra na omo ba omo ntimi ntwam NDC form be say omo betwam enu nti na omo mpene say ye be ko sitting rata ensem ne de ayo be
se omo be say omo chiema na etogana fo asum na o chem sense trophy omo fa nko na omo nko kan wa sempa
you get
it
but the writer say in the other way say makase obi e ka de be favor no but the last it no mo call ya amaka no na in this for so ka say omo je majority na omo be so omo di twa betting tax any 11 NPP for so say this for majority na omo be so omo di twa free education anyone to so one for drum be so omo di say no the writer you see the country wom everyday propaganda political parties no obi a be say o ye di e be favor no but the writer sensem ne de doso na mum ma yemfri hana ye ni nkomo ba ko bi entoa so
yankore honorable Kennedy ni video ni mra yes honorable Kennedy akompre kon Agyapong ene wachi ena ono so atuja afase unse honorable Kennedy tuja se ya womo mbedi na tem di na tem
of course
womo mbebo na ba so bona ba so ba quick one enhwemre ba commander beto aso
in society because of the way some of you politicize issues and it won't help this country. We all want to move forward. I personally don't care whoever wins. So long as we have a peaceful country that you can breathe. I've been to war-torn countries and I know the sufferings some people are going through. That is why I don't preach for war. If not, I would have also encouraged whatever going on. I want to be the faith of the country. Today I shouted at my young man because he asked me a question, why are you running away? You know, how can I run away? Let me tell you what actually happened this morning, which the leader did not address. He saw me in going to I even entered the chamber. We were at the caucus meeting. So we took a decision that, look, Ken, go with the leadership, engage the speaker and the NDC people. Then we go in because we heard they are sitting on our side, which is the right-hand side of the speaker. So go and engage the speaker. Unfortunately, when we got there, they were sitting. That is why we returned. Not that I was running away. And we couldn't stop the proceedings. So it's not deliberate that NPP refused. We needed to engage the speaker. I'm not the leadership. I'm not one of them. But they respect my opinion. And I know speaker is my friend before I even came to parliament. He was my company lawyer. So I give him that respect. And sometimes I go to him and share ideas. So they say this time, go to your mom. Unfortunately, our caucus meeting took so long. And there was no TV there for us to see that they were sitting. So, young man, I was not running away. We were coming to consult the speaker and the minority group before we go in there. And unfortunately, when we went there, he was sitting. And we had to walk away. Now, the question is, where NDC was sitting, where did you want me to go and sit?
Exactly.
Where?
Or if you go and fight them.
Do you want me to go and pull my chair from my colleague from the other side? No. We don't want that January 7th, 2021, what transpired at the chamber to continue to be a precedent. No. So, peacefully, I just worked out with Deputy Majority Leader and the two whips. We want peace to prevail. So, please, you are the mouthpiece of this country. Whatever you do, if you do it right, it will benefit the country. You go wrong, the whole country will be doomed. So don't let us politicize issues. Be objective, pragmatic, and first, you should all love this country. Look, 6 weeks or 2 weeks, 2 months ago, Burkina, they line people doing whatever they call trenches, and 600 of them, they shot them. Is that what we need in this country? Because of somebody's power, nobody, whether you're NPP, NDC, political party, will push me to go and take arms. It won't work. We have nowhere to go, only Ghana. So you should be mindful of whatever you are going to say. This politics, where politicians, journalists have taken trench and politicians have taken trench, it won't help us. So I'm begging you. What actually happened today, it was not deliberate that we were boycotting, but we wanted to get understanding from the speaker. So we were at the caucus meeting, and maybe I will admit that it took so long.
But that is even allowed in parliamentary culture.
I engaged Honorable Abuja and told the minister, oh, then you made a mistake. You should have informed the speaker that you were at the caucus meeting. The speaker didn't do, which I cannot defend because I'm not part of the leadership. And I'm sure he's right. I'm sure if my leaders have informed the speaker that we're holding a meeting and we'll be back, definitely he would have waited. So,
but even that, Ken, it was the onus also on the so-called majority group leaders to inform the speaker, where are your colleagues? And he will tell them they are in caucus. They want to tell us that nobody knew that we were having a caucus meeting.
Well, he can be Epimenides and sit on the fence, because even if he knows, and once there's no official communication, I can pretend I didn't know. That one day, I can pretend that I didn't know.
People sitting on our seats.
Yeah, that's the problem. I've posed that question because I entered the chamber and I saw NDC occupying NPP seats. So I just had to leave. I told the leader and the leadership, the two whips and deputy majority leader, that we should go back. And even that, you won't believe it, my lawyer, another lawyer of mine, Honorable Andy-Api Akubi. Honorable Andy-Api Akubi is my lawyer. But we nearly fought over there. You know, so, but that's the game of politics. But we don't want you to fund it. Because when there's a problem, don't think you hold the camera and you'll be saved. All of us. So young man, I was not running away. I wanted peace. As for running away, it's not in my vocabulary. But when we are growing, there you know.
What commander?
Yeah, the Roger.
Honorable Kennedy, I compare ku Agyapong.
Yeah, Honorable Kennedy. No.
But me one question be answer na. Odi mu nsem nyina ebe ba no. Ese me che won kasa mu se na o se Abambabin.
Yeah.
And a lawyer and maybe a chum.
Yeah.
Enti me dwene bi me bisa o. Wo so dwene wo say onye so say on the koto abanama Abambabin there.
Well, the right on this issue, Sabawi, NPP votes for almost 4 years.
Okay.
But the just the Honorable Kennedy, and Eldrubembia, on NPP vote million Tawantawa Kaka.
And on Charifo, we didn't see 2020. No.
Well, the right in 2020, general election, year 2 baby, and NPP and DC, a number of seats, parliament, not a pay, and an independent Bako, ever tom, for mena. Now, was year 2 by Speaker of Parliament, and with the NPP, a presente. Professor Aaron Michael Quay, NNDC represented Right Honorable Abansumana Kingsford Babin, and in Benfami, you know, say 2 Moswaba. Yeah, 2 Abano, the writer. Adiaba Kuna is so clear. Yes, shall say an MP before no say a bomb with dear. Not say or Jina or Quatua or 2 years. No way in the ballot paper and the achere. Yeah. And Temandis volunteer say about Wayan Tumfanchere. A honor no as signal say. MB before no, or me suspicious of something, almost suspected BB. Yeah, 2 abani you know. Now MP before na ba almost 2 years before them by a caboma, Abambabin and Yadu at the champion before, and MB before Su Sampa, or Munipabako, Aquatoma NDC. Yeah. And the right, a month for the brave, I shall say, Bobo, what do, Obia beside Drassafo, a biswa na Bo Kennedy, a biswa of Buffalo Cogas and to whom MP. Rather than Obia can dear by so in some men, Ebe. Yeah, Honorable Kennedy, Abambabin, a business lawyer.
Yeah.
Lawyer near na ohwani nyuma so ni business in amano. Nti one na nam fre tetete enye.
Okay.
Right, I'm for cancer, maybe I mean, so may I G at Tumka
yeah.
Because relationship no ho. And the beer, when the competence level, when you say, when you my Juma, okay, be a young bonnet council. Okay. But Russia, I'm a MPP for any so much.
Yeah.
Now, the right honorable Canadian Cassa on the issue of parliament. As an o play smart move. The right, a smart move when I will play. On bus of action who free MPP. David, because on MPP, David. And on so on best of Becca and Seminamana Speaker of Parliament. And on best of a cabinet here in DC. Because as a recently Ghana for Bebre, Edgar MPP. And a speaker and some Ghana for be who say, as a MPP one person of a quite be switching Jim Speaker. I didn't say Gunachi. Into honorable Kennedy, or person or General Fifi. No credit. Said you by offended 3 parties in Mubia. Not Ghana for or Donna. Amu show na answers a month for Kakrebi Ghana Kakano. Sa or don't be samba back beam. Yeah. Rata, a smart move, but Nina a part of politics, any intelligence. Yeah. The Rata, where young Koma, a told that and our parliament, and a home Koma who do
quick one, young co answer, I begin about G. Yes, your badness a year and I begin so a bass and set. I begin here to make it to a quick one, young co, ever some beam high right media. I cry for you now.